Okay, um, most of y'all, there's, oh, sorry. Guys, I like the approach, and this is fine to work this out. Most of you did the original area, so you did base times height divided by 2, so you did the area of your original triangle. Most of y'all got that to be 30. I saw that on your paper. I saw that you were on the right track. And then you needed to look at the new area, meaning if you multiply the base and the height by 6. So most of y'all gave me that answer too, because that would be a 72 by 30, and then divide by 2. Most of y'all got to this. But they want you to tell the effects, describe the effects of the change. Yeah, the area is multiplied by what? That's what they want you to do. To figure that out, if you do this approach, which is fine, you need to look at the ratio. Always compare the ratio of the new to the old. Like the new area to the old area. Yeah, so if I put that in, 1080 over 30 is 36. So that means the area got 36 times greater. Okay, so this is 36 times the original. Yeah, they want to know how bigger it got. Okay, now here's a shortcut if you want to memorize this part. What you're dealing with for effects of the area, for area, you always square the change amount. Whatever the change is, like whatever they're multiplying by. This is the change. It's being multiplied by 6. So if you square 6, what is 6 squared? 36, and there's your answer. So that's a shortcut. If you memorize that, then that's less work. Okay, just remember that fact. So if you want to write that note down, put a star next to that to study that, that's up to you. But like everything dealing with area, that works. Yes. Squaring it works. Okay?
So why did it say the sky? I thought it was going like the part, write it out.
I did. It got 36 times the original area.
Oh, okay.
36 times 30 will give you the 1080. Okay. I was very pleased we had a good 90% on this. I don't think this needs to be reviewed. You will have one problem, and can you take the apothem? Can you find your perimeter? Can you plug it in? This is not a problem that you can afford to miss. They told you what the A was. Okay. This is the side, so perimeter always means what? Our P always means the perimeter, right? All right, so to find the perimeter of this shape, you had to take the 6 times the 6.4, because there were 6 sides. Okay, I didn't really think this was an issue. Most of you got this right. Do y'all have any questions or concerns? Because you didn't multiply right.
6.4 times 6.
That's the perimeter. The perimeter is 38.4.
That's what
I
I did.
plug it into the formula. It's not times 6.
6.4 times 6 is the
That's the perimeter. You have to times that by the.
okay,
Yes.
I know that. I was just saying I find the perimeter.
The apothem is 4.8.
Yeah, I know that.
So stop saying 6.4 times 6. That's the perimeter. That number goes where the P is.
No.
You don't know what you're saying.
I do.
Okay, so tell me what you're saying.
I was talking about finding the perimeter. You said I didn't find the perimeter.
No, I said your answer.
Oh, okay.
And I circled your perimeter.
Yeah, cool with that. I understand I was wrong about that, but the perimeter itself.
Okay. Just a reminder. I'll put it over here. Make sure you always remember that the A is always perpendicular. It's always perpendicular to the side. Now, that's the reason why I say that is you got to know the relationship when I don't give you the side. So on the second one, there's some facts that you probably need to, I can show you a shortcut if you memorize these facts. Okay, first thing, only for a hexagon. This only works for a hexagon. You might want to write this down. No? Yeah, because you're going to use that to study. All right, only in the hexagon, the R, which is your radius, equals the same as the side. So, in this picture up here, this right here, from the center to the vertice, that's a radius. Whatever that is, it's going to be the same as whatever the side is. Okay? Now, here's the shortcut if you memorize this part. If I want to find my apothem only in a hexagon, I take whatever that side is, I divide it by 2, and then I times it by radical 3. Whatever the side is, I divide it by 2, and I times it by radical 3. And then the last thing is that your P is always going to be your perimeter. Okay, so in here, that's your radius. This, you remember your apothem always has to be perpendicular, and it's going to always bisect that side. That's why we divide it by 2. Bisect means we're going to divide by 2. So in this problem here, they tell us that the radius equals 16. So what is our side? It's also 16. Whatever the radius is also the side for a hexagon. So how would I find the apothem? Yeah, 16 divided by 2, then I multiply by radical 3. Well, 16 divided by 2 is 8, right? So this is just 8 radical 3. That's the apothem. Now I need my perimeter. What would I do to find the perimeter? Yeah, 16 times 6, because there's 6 sides. So that would give me 96, right? There's my perimeter. So to find the area, I'm basically going to just do 1/2 of my 8 radical 3 times 96. Now, what part can be multiplied together? When I'm multiplying an 8 radical 3 times 96, what can be multiplied together? Just the 8 and the 96. So 8 times 96, what would that give you? Yeah, 768, and then radical 3. And then we're taking half of that, so we're going to divide it by 2. Yep, so you take half of that, you get you 384 radical 3. There's your area. Yeah, you always simplify, yes. Okay. All right. So this part right here is the things you probably need to remember because it'll make it go a whole lot easier. If you remember that the side and the radius are the same, and then the apothem is just half the side times radical 3. All right, so here's a good, I want to put you in a test-like situation on your own, on average for your test tomorrow. So you have time to check over your work. It should take you about 2 minutes to work and solve a problem. 2 minutes. So right now, on this one problem, I'm going to give you 2 minutes. I want to see how far you can get. I won't. Yes. After you finish the problem. So we're doing this problem right here on your own. 56 is too small.
What's 26?
60 squared is the answer. So, wow, not even trying. The problem that you're going to face tomorrow is there's not just one way to solve it. Like, the last class did it 3 different ways. You just got to come up with a plan or approach to get to your shaded. So, those of you got 63, Alfred, what did you do? What was your approach? Okay, so he did the area of this shaded side, which he saw was a triangle, so base times height divided by 2, and then he did the area of this shaded side. And then he added them up. Anyone do it a different way? Lies? Yep, the area of the parallelogram minus the area of the triangle. Parallelogram is just base times height. Triangle is base times height divided by 2. Either way would work. to get to your shaded. We had some people like slide this over and create a trapezoid and then find the area of that. Yeah, that's too much. I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's different ways to get to that answer, but you got to be able to think and problem solve.
So what's the base? What's the height of this one though?
The height of which one?
I know the little one is the height is 7, but what's the other one?
The height of this
Yeah.
one here? If you're using the 16, it's 7 as well. It's always the perpendicular one. Okay. So, my only concern, the easiest way to think of this is like usually if you said shaded, usually that means you're going to have to do some type of subtraction. So if you think S for shaded, S for subtraction, then that's what you would get. Or you're adding the shaded part. All right. Next box for y'all. One to the right. Okay, my biggest concern is start the talking. My biggest concern, you're definitely going to see an equilateral. And on the last couple tests, I still have students who don't know what that means. Like, what is an equilateral triangle?
All sides are equal.
Yeah, all sides are equal. Okay? So that means this is equal, and this side here is equal. So here's the thing you have to know. Oh, this is the side, right? So this is also a side, and this very bottom here is a side. To find the area of a triangle, most of you can pick the right formula. Base times height divided by 2. Here's the part you need to memorize. Everyone understand that if it's perpendicular from a base to a vertex, that is always the height. So do y'all see that the perpendicular line is going to be the height? All right, here's the trick, okay? In an equilateral, the height is always whatever the side is, divided by 2 times radical 3. So the height, whatever the side is, divided by 2, radical 3. So if I know the perimeter, you're right, Elias. If I know the perimeter is 36, could you figure out the side? What would you have to do? All right, so 36 divided by 3, so the side is 12. So what's the height? Yes, take that side, divide by 2, so the height is 6 radical 3. So now I can just do my area by taking what's the base? The base is the side, so that's 12 times 6 radical 3 divided by 2. Guys, no. Vajane? Vajane? No, don't. What is the area? You need to sit up. We're not putting our heads down. Period. Yeah, 36 radical 3. Okay, so here's my thing. What does this line represent on this picture? This is a pata. Okay? This would be your radius. Okay? You use this formula, A equals 1/2 AP for regular polygons. So that would be, for example, that could be an equilateral. What's another regular polygon I could use it on? A hexagon. Okay? I can use it on a pentagon. Okay, that's the formula I'm going to use. Well, if I'm talking about equilateral triangle, the triangle is still also base times height divided by 2. Which formula do you like better? This base times height divided by 2 or 1/2 AP? Okay, so let's do the easier one. Then to do that, all I'm going to do is, instead of using that line, I'm going to draw this line. What is that line going to represent? The height. Okay? So this height, basically, as long as I know my side, then I can find the height. Because what would I have to do to get that height? Yeah, side just divided by 2 and then radical 3. So if you like this easier, then draw your height and then do that to get to your height. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Last box. Oh no, 2 more boxes. Since if a diameter of a circle is multiplied by 4, what's the effects of the 3 things? So, do you know the diameter of a circle? Okay, so if they don't give you one, pick one. Pick a number. What number do you want to use? Okay, so let's say the diameter is 5. Okay, so if the diameter is 5, what is the radius? 2.5. Okay, what would be the circumference? If the it would be 5 pi. Okay, and what would be the area? Yeah, so that'd be 6.25 pi. Okay, all right. So if our diameter was 5 and I multiplied it by 4, then my new diameter would be 20, right? Okay, so what would the new radius be? Huh? It'd be 10. All right. What would the new circumference be? 20 pi, right? All right. And then my new area, 100 pi. Okay. So let's look at this. 5 times 4 gives you 20, right? If I do 2.5 times 4, does that still give me 10? Yep. If I do 5 times 4, does that still give me 20? If I do 6.25 times 4, does that give me 100? No. So here's the only thing you need to remember. If I multiply by 4, then it stays the same. This would be, the radius is still multiplied by 4. The circumference is still multiplied by 4. But the area is now multiplied by 4 squared. Area, you always square it. So it stays the same here, but here you have to square it. So circumference and radius would be just multiplying the same, but area you have to square it. All right, so this was the one I'm kind of concerned about. Describe the effects of volume on the cube. Volume. All right. So the side of a cube is multiplied by 6. Do they give us the side of the cube? No. Okay, so pick a number. All right, we got 2. All right, so our side is going to be 2. All right, what would be the volume of the cube if I had a side of 2? It would be 8, because I would do 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. All right, now we're going to take that side and we're going to multiply it by 6. So our new side would be 12.
So multiply by 8 by 6.
No, since the side of the cube is multiplied by 6. So what would be the new volume? What? How'd you get that? You're right. Yeah, do the 12 times 12 times 12, which is 12 cubed. All right, so how did it change? How do we figure out how the change would be? Divide what? You're right.
1,728
By the 8, yes. Okay. So you do 1,728 divided by 8. What would that give you? 216. That is how the times change. Justin? Sit up, please. Here's the shortcut. If you memorize this, for volume, you cube the change. For volume, you cube the change. What was the change? How did it change? What did they tell you to do? Yeah, multiply by 6. So all I do is take that 6 and I now cube it. What is 6 cubed? It's 216. It's the same thing we got over here. So that's the shortcut. Instead of picking numbers and figuring out the ratio, just cube it for volume. You square it for area, you cube it for volume. Yeah, then you would cube the 2. No, if I for anything dealing with volume. Anything dealing with volume. All right, so let's talk about this, and then I'm going to pass back quizzes, because this was the type of problem that was missed on the quiz. Okay? This was the type that was missed. All right. Well, it's kind of like that. To find the volume of a cone, it's base times height divided by 3. Let's make sure we still know what base is, because a lot of you don't give me the correct B. What does capital B mean? Bay is the area of the base. I had some of you, if the base was a rectangle and you saw a 6 as one of the sides, you told me B is 6. Instead of giving me the area of that rectangle. You should be calculating the area of the base. Okay, so what shape is our base in a cone? A circle. So, to find the area of a circle, you have to do pi r squared. And this is what I noticed. Some of you didn't even do this on your cone or your cylinder. So you have to do pi r squared. So I'm just going to substitute. Pi radius squared times the height divided by 3. All right, they tell me that the height is 84. That's the perpendicular distance. And the slant height, here's where most of y'all messed up. This is what I did. On your quiz, I gave you the radius and the slant height. I didn't give you the height. The slant height is slanted. We don't use that number for dealing with volume. We use it when dealing with surface area. In order to do this volume, I need the radius. Everyone see here's where the radius is? You have to use Pythagorean theorem to get to the radius. So you might want to try that now. Pythagorean theorem to get to the radius. It's a whole number. So here's where some of y'all got partial credit, because you did Pythagorean theorem. You did a squared plus b. You showed this on your quiz. But then when you plugged it in, you didn't plug in the right parts. So for example, this would be 84 squared plus this is my r squared. The slant height, that's your c squared. Some of y'all put these two numbers together. Your c is always the hypotenuse. And if I don't give you the hypotenuse, then you can simply put in a number there. So when you work this out, you should get the radius is 13. So now you can plug it into the formula. Leave your answer in terms of pi. That's what I'm going to ask you to do tomorrow as well. All right, so try this composite figure. Same thing, test light should take about 2 minutes.